Welcome back once again. It's time for the Golden Age of DC Comics, 365 days, where I go through this well-loved book that given to me by one of my best friends almost 2 decades ago. It's been surfing every coffee table I've had since. It's a coffee table book. Friends have picked it up off my coffee table and been, ooh, what's this? It's a great source of conversation. I thought it would make a great topic for daily YouTube content, and so I like to turn to the page, which is today. Today is April the 19th, and what we do is this is a book. Yes, it's a coffee table book. It was published in 2004 by Abrahams Press. It was written and compiled by Les Daniels, Chip Kidd, and Geoff Spear, and it's a coffee table book, and it's a page-a-day book, 365 days. And it has art and a blurb, and we look at the art, we read the blurb, and then we elaborate and have some good old-fashioned comic book talk, like we used to have back in the comic book shops. And so today is April 19th. This is art by Bob Oxner from the cover of Strange Adventures, number 7, April of 1951. Just to remind you that the golden age of DC Comics runs from 1938 to 1955. The Silver Age begins in 1956 and runs till 1970. The Bronze Age, I'm a Bronze Age baby, is from 1970 to 1985. And currently we're in some kind of catch-all, nebulous, modern age of comics that's been going on since 1985 until now. That makes no sense to me. And this is a conversation I'm willing to have, and I want to have, and I want to figure this out. And but let's get to it. Today it's about giant ants. Dun dun dun! Ants, Jerry! Ants! My brother's room got ants! I love Jerry Maguire. It's a good movie. So, it's April 19th. Giant insects, giant lizards, and giant animals of every kind were all the rage in Hollywood during the 1950s. Big bugs were especially popular, showing up in such films as Tarantula, 1955, The Monster from Green Hell, 1957, The Deadly Mantis from 57, The Black Scorpion from 57, and The Spider from 1958. And many more movies that neglected to mention the monster in the title. Some of these, the first of these films, and widely considered to be the best, was Them, produced in 1954 by Warner Brothers. The title creatures were giant ants, and it seems fairly obvious that they inspired this cover. The only problem is, this issue came out 3 years before the movie did. Were studio heads reading comic books back then? They certainly are today. That's the truth. I mean, you can't walk around, swing your arms without knocking over a superhero movie. That's an awful thing to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. But Them, that came out in 1954. And it was the first of the 1950s nuclear monster films. And remember, this is where it transitions from the Golden Age to the Silver Age, because now we have the threat of nuclear war. And this leads us into the Space Age, and this leads us into the Silver Age. So this is pretty much from the end of the Golden Age. And, giant ants. Let's look at the art some more. Let me get rid of my bookmark. Yes, it's a tag from my latest NHL jersey. We've got jet planes, and we've got giant ants toppling a skyscraper. We have a woman in fear. We have a close-up of an ant and its bug eyes. And what does it say here? The Astounding Prophecy. Yeah, so, I mean, gee, I don't think we have much content today, besides the whole were studio heads reading comic books back then? They certainly are today. Well, comic book fans would probably say that they're not reading them today either. They're just, strip mining the intellectual properties. And it's weird. I hear a really, because modern comic books are in a decline in sales and in popularity. Children aren't reading DC and Marvel superhero comic books anymore. It's been pretty much a niche market, and it used to have a direct sales marketplace in the newsstand in the spinner racks, which have been abandoned. I mean, that's a 20th century, point of sales origin. Nowadays, it's the direct market. It goes to the comic book shop or the trade paperbacks. Those end up in bookstores. But comic books, as we know today, they've changed. The marketplace has changed, and the movies are not making the magazines popular, which is the astounding thing. They have all this popularity in the Marvel movies and in the DC movies, yet they don't support the comic books. The comic books are not booming in sales. Now, Batman comic books, you can put Batman on toilet paper for real and it will sell. Batman just sells. Yet, like the Aquaman, Flash, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, they all have their own TV shows. They all have movie presence. But what they don't have are booming sales in their comic books. And that's just a weird kind of discrepancy. And it's really noticeable. And I mean, why? Well, it comes down to marketing, I believe, and knowing where and how to sell these magazines. Kids aren't buying superhero comic books. They buy Japanese comics called manga. And manga has its diverse stories and characters and a gravitas in their storytelling that we've lost here in the West in the past decade or more. And yeah, so what do you think? Do you have any thoughts about, wow, how can we have a Doctor Strange movie coming out next month, and we had this hugely popular, almost going on $2 billion for Spider-Man 3 No Way Home, which was a fun movie, and I saw it too. But Spider-Man sale, I mean, like, why is it so hard to craft good Spider-Man stories and sell a Spider-Man magazine? That it all comes from, and it's worthy of conversation, and I'd love to hear from you. And this is the kind of comic book conversation that I tune into, and channels such as Comics by Perch, Thinking Critical by Wes. He's got a Saturday show. I love his Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern U.S. Every Saturday, I'm usually there, knee deep in the live chat, because it's good old fashioned comic book talk, and we talk about artists, we talk about art style, we talk about current going on and storylines, and we talk a lot about our disappointments in the current product. And we were the original target market, and there's just this battle cry of corporate business that we need to access and interest people that are not buying the product. And we really want them to buy the product as well. That's all well and good. Yet what they did, though, was they changed the original recipe so much that it became unpalatable to the original, the original customers. I mean, it's not worth it for me personally to buy monthly DC comic books. I buy comic books. I buy monthlies. I don't buy trades. I try not to. I like to buy comic books. I love the floppy, the magazine, the monthly. And it's becoming, that's becoming a dinosaur, and rightfully so in a way too. I mean, publishing is evolving. Can we get away from print media and the resources it takes to produce a print magazine? All of this, carbon footprint, when you can have, a digital copy, which has its own carbon karma. Carbon karma. How's that? I like the ring of that. We call it carbon because it comes from different energy sources and different things to sustain a digital image. But I love a good comic book, and that's a big reason why this year I found Indiegogo and I found independent creators, and I've contributed to 6 different Indiegogo campaigns, and their quality. The one I got so far, it was the quality on this magazine, this floppy, was so astounding, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I love spending money on comic books. It's just that DC and Marvel, their product, it's literally not worth it to spend the money for $4.99 for a bad story, poorly illustrated, and to boot, I don't have the physical space anymore. I mean, I can't. I don't have any room for you, DC. I got no room for you, Marvel. Especially if you were producing classic good stories, that would be a different conversation. You got rid of Tom King. Well, there's no unringing that Tom King bell. Tom King eroded everything good that Geoff Johns and Scott Snyder did. I mean, seriously. And but hey, we can't tell. Perch said it really eloquently that here you have this failing industry that does not listen to its core customers and doesn't care what they think. What do you think is going to happen? I love that kind of salience in an argument because it's very obvious. But yeah, it's Ben. We've been talking about the current age of comic books. Ben, when the book is the golden age of DC Comics. And we're going to be talking about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and we'll see who we're talking about tomorrow when we turn the page. God bless. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe if you could be so kind. I make lots of content. I do a lot of cooking videos. I have gratitude lists in the morning. I'm a spiritual guy. I also do the Sunday sermon. And we talk about comic books every day here. So tune in, like, subscribe, and thank you so much. And we'll see you in the funny pages tomorrow. Bye-bye.